This is the DNA Pest Control Podcast with your hosts, Daniel and Anthony.
All right. How's it going, Anthony?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. If everyone
Great.
hasn't noticed yet, he sounds a little different.
Yeah, we're practicing extreme social distancing right now.
We are 6,000 feet away from each other.
More than that, probably, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the math.
Yeah, I'm actually at home right now. If my mic quality is not that good, I apologize. Real quick, too, since I'm not there in person, to double check, is that light, is it red or green on that?
It is red.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so bear with us for this. I probably will get a better mic if we do more podcasts this way. I'll invest in it for sure. This way, the quality of the podcast could stay top tier because we're probably the greatest podcast ever. We got to keep it that way.
Oh, for sure. So today
let's hear it.
is going to be on safety as a technician, guys and girls.
Yeah, this is a major one. The reason why we were actually thinking of this is because if you don't know, we've mentioned it before, but we're based out of California, and a thing we usually have during the summer is fire weather. Now, do you want to explain what fire weather is, Daniel?
Well, we have there's definitely, it's been weird. So over these past couple years, these fires, I mean, we have fires every year, but nothing as severe as it been. I mean, it's been crazy. And so you can actually go on, I'll post a video that I did on the Instagram. I'll actually do it right now. But the video is actually of a truck, one of the pest control trucks, and it's covered in ash.
Oh, man.
And so it's been so bad, and the fires have been so close to where we are that we've pretty much been getting rained on by ash everywhere. And
yeah.
So it's terrible. So just the smoke, it's super unhealthy. It's still not as bad as I think last year, or was it 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Okay. Yeah, last year was actually worse. So it was like
terrible.
Hazardous to be outside.
It was in perspective. As a technician, if you were outside not wearing a mask, it was like smoking a pack of cigarettes for the whole day. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. So if you were a smoker, you didn't actually have to buy cigarettes that day.
Right. And I know a lot of techs are smokers, but all power to you.
Yeah. Well, that day you didn't have to worry about it. So.
Yeah.
But that's smoke weather. I mean, that's really fire season for us. I mean, that's what we're dealing with right now. And for the past 2 years, that's kind of what we've been dealing with.
Yeah. So, and I know we're excluding some of our listeners with this, so we'll get this out of the way and we'll continue on to physical safety. But like if you are in California, whether it's Southern California gets it bad, Northern gets it bad, Central gets it bad, wear a mask. Don't be one of those tough guys or girls out there not wearing a mask because you don't want to look wimpy. I mean, come on, we already have to wear a mask now because of COVID, but that's a whole different story. But if you don't want to wear it for COVID, just wear it for your safety, please. I see a lot of people jogging around out here in this smoke, and it's like, look, I've had bronchitis and asthma in my life, and I've had them at the same time. So my lungs were, compromised at a certain point. I feel it at the end of the day. My lungs feel heavier if I don't wear a mask and I breathe in a lot of that smoke. And even if it's not thick, it's still there. I mean, you could see it during the sunrise, the sunset. When that smoke, it just blankets the whole, city, and it's bad for your health. And you definitely want to reduce as much of that smoke as you can. And a mask definitely does help. I've noticed a difference.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know we had a conversation outside one day, and I didn't have my mask on. And after we got done talking, I hopped in the truck, and I was like, oh, my gosh, my throat was just burning. Not fun. So definitely,
not at all.
If you're in California, do your part, wear a mask. If you're anywhere else that has fires or anything like that, be smart, guys. I mean, you might not notice anything now, but it's in 5 years, it's in 10 years when you start to feel those things. And just be smart. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it just relates to our job. Like, and I know a lot of technicians don't realize it, but our job is not probably, if you put it on against and compare it with other dangerous jobs, we're up there. I mean, and you're like, wait, how? What? Because we're dealing with pesticides? No, we're driving, we're using ladders, and dealing with pesticides. Let alone, you never know when a dog's going to come for you, or a crazy. You know what I'm saying? We deal with so many things every day on a day-to-day basis that we look over, because a lot of our job is show up and get business done as usual. But we can't grow complacent, and as technicians, we got to be safe out there. The last thing you want to do is, sprain your ankle or fall off a ladder and break a bone, or, get in a car accident. So
yeah,
it's just, yeah.
And I mean, if your company hasn't talked about, safety out in the field, or if you guys are listening, you're like, man, this is kind of stupid. I don't need to learn about safety. Let's be honest, okay? I've been out there. I'm in the field. I'm spraying houses, and there's a hole in the ground, and you don't even notice it because the grass has just grown up with the rest of the lawn, and you can't tell that difference, and then you step in that hole, So it comes up at random times, or you're walking around the side of a house, and the eaves comes down too low, and you're looking down because you're spraying, and you run into the corner. I know, Anthony, You've actually cut your head.
Oh, yeah. So here's a story about being safe, which I wasn't. I was in a garage. I had to kind of crawl under a sink to set up some snap traps and do some exclusion work for rodents. So I went ahead and did it. And what I did was I carelessly shot up to my feet, and guess what I hit? I smacked into a wooden cabinet, the corner of it, and gashed my head open. And I actually remember you checked it out, and it was a decent little cut. I was bleeding. I was dizzy. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was able to, luckily I'm okay. I didn't get seriously injured, but I could have fell unconscious and hit my head on the, the cement, or I could have really needed stitches or something, just because I was being a little careless. I wanted to get up quickly. I was uncomfortable being low. And the main thing is just, look, it's not worth it. We have families to feed. If you don't, you got yourself to feed. It's just, you just got to take those extra steps and be safe. Because I could have really hurt myself that day.
Oh yeah. Well, and apart from that, like you were saying, getting on ladders, and a lot of guys, in this, I don't know if this is just across the country, one of the rules, but if you're over 8 feet, you do have to have a second guy with you, at least in the state of California. Outside of the state, I don't know. But within the state, you have to have someone there spotting the ladder if you're over 8 feet. If you're below that, you're probably not getting off of the ladder or anything like that, so you don't have to worry. But, it's just a smart practice to have. Luckily here, we've never had anybody, we haven't had any bad falls, or really any falls that I know of, but I have heard of some pretty bad stuff happening with ladders, and people not even being very high, but falling off of the ladder. And there's actually some funny videos out there. Thanks.
Yeah, I showed you some. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Oh man, yeah. The infomercial. What infomercial was that for some ladder?
Yeah, so if you're listening, go to YouTube and type in infomercial fails with ladder, or, infomercial guy falling off ladder, and you'll get a good laugh. I don't think anyone got seriously injured, but it's pretty funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. But yeah, definitely go watch those videos. It is worth it.
Oh, and the best one, and this is a spoiler alert, because even if you watch it knowing this, you'll still laugh, is the guy still tries to sell the ladder. I forgot to lock it.
Oh, yeah, that one is a good one.
Talk about a dedicated salesman, man.
Oh, man. Well, you probably got paid some good money to be on that infomercial.
I bet, yeah. Now, a quick thing for me is that I'm a bigger guy, and I know that there is bigger technicians out there, and ladders could scare a bigger guy. Because you know what they say, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. And as a bigger guy speaking out to you, or even if you're squeamish with the ladder or heights, just take it one step at a time. That ladder make sure it's stable and stern, because if it is, you're not going to fall. But if you're being careless and like that ladder's on like maybe a sock, if you're looking up into an attic and it's uneven and you're like shifting your weight from left to right and making it very uneven, then that's when you really start risking it. And unless you have to really shimmy yourself up into an attic by lifting your body weight up or anything like that, if your job's asking that, I would definitely look into that, because that is dangerous, and the last thing you want is a broken back. Luckily, I have a pretty good ladder that extends pretty high, so I could safely check attics and things like that. And this way, I'm not nervous, because you've seen me when I first started and rode with you, how terrified. I was only 2 steps up, how terrified I look. I was shaking on that ladder.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, with the ladder you have now, and anybody out there, if you don't have, a better ladder, you can see what the weight limit is on every ladder out there. And so they have to have that on there. So if you don't see that weight limit, if the sticker's been pulled off or whatever it is, I mean, talk to someone, find out what it is. Because, if you are a heavier set guy, you definitely need to make sure that the ladder can support your weight. And, you need to feel comfortable doing it, especially if you are, getting on ladders quite a bit.
Yeah, the ladder could be the bane of the big guy. That's a fact there.
Yeah, the ones that we have are the little giants. They're the ones.
Oh, and they're wonderful.
Yeah, they can extend all the way out. They can do a ton of different stuff, but they're just very, very sturdy. They're well-built ladders, and we've never had any accidents on that thing. So. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I love it, and this is coming from someone that is, aside from the job, I'll be squeamish to climb a ladder, The little giants, and this is like a product placement or like some kind of ad we're doing. Hopefully they'll send us an email and pay us. But no, it's different, because I use the other one, and it's not. I don't even know what it's made out of. It's like plastic and metal or whatever. But the other ladder, it did sustain my weight, but it just, because I was closer to that limit, it just didn't feel safe for me, and I felt uneasy using it. I never fallen off of it. But using that little giant, really, it gives me the confidence. Like I don't loathe going to check an attic anymore or having to use it, because I'm like, look, it's safe, and I know it's way more sturdy. Like I don't feel nervous when I climb up to the top of it.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of getting on ladders and checking attics, another thing that I think a lot of guys they're just not careful with, and it happened to you, Anthony, it happened to another guy, is rat traps actually snapping on guys.
Oh yeah.
So where you're placing those up in the attic, I mean, I've heard some stories, I don't think they're actually true, but I've heard a few people where they actually put their hand in one, and they've got it caught in there. But when you're setting that trap and how you're holding that trap in your hand is going to be a huge difference. I mean, how I do it is when I hold the bottom of the trap and I grab the front. So we're using the Victor rat snap traps. Okay. So it's not like the easy T-Rex ones. If you get snapped on with a T-Rex, you're
an idiot.
Yeah. Just quit, go home. Like,
right.
I mean,
that's like putting your hand in the mouth of an alligator.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, you can't really screw that up. But the Victor snap traps, I totally get, where they can accidentally go off, and it's all based on how you hold it. So I make sure that one hand's underneath and the other hand is using to grab that metal piece that snaps, and I'm pulling it back, and then I use my other hand that's still on bottom to grab that metal piece and to hold it, but I'm holding it at the very other end. So I have all the leverage on my hand, that's holding it. So it never can really snap back onto any of my fingers. And I'm always pointing, where the tray is, I'm always pointing that away from my body. So even if it does snap, it's going to snap away from me, not at me.
Yeah.
So,
and another tip, sorry to cut you off, but real quick, another tip, if you're using those Victor snap traps, is never place your hand near the yellow. Did you want to dwell on your point before I gave my story about getting snapped on?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what happened to me was you got to be very careful, because this was using a Victor snap trap. And when I load my peanut butter or bait or whatever I'm putting on there, I load it on the pressure plate and the little reservoir. But what happens is that sometimes, because if I'm using like a bigger gloves or whatever, that peanut butter will kind of seep into where the pin goes to snap it, and it makes it a little just that much more slippery to where it'll go off prematurely. And like what I usually do is I'll pull that pin up to make sure it's real sturdy, and I'll do exactly what you do. You know, you just hold it. Your hand is nowhere near the metal or anything. But how I got snapped was it was funny because I was talking to a client, and like I got real careless because I was talking to him, and I'm like, yeah, and then I just remember it slipped, and it caught the inside of my hand. It didn't snap on it. It just yanked my hand down because it's so strong, and the spring jabbed me, and it cut me with the spring. I didn't get too hurt. Man, I have a story for just about every safety flaw, right?
Yeah.
Hey, at least you know that when you're listening to this, you know from experience that I've experienced these pains, and trust me, it hurts to get hit by that trap.
Oh yeah, I could only imagine. I bet it'd break a finger if you actually snapped your hand full force.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah. Oh man, probably. Jeez, like that thing. Have you ever? Like it actually went off on me before, and the shockwave like scared me. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, no, those things snap hard.
Yeah.
You know, so guys, yeah, just be careful with all those. Know the rules. Play by the rules. You know, don't put yourself in that situation where you could get hurt, because you also have to remember, if you're injured and you can't work, you're not making money. Or if you are, because it's a workman's comp claim, you're making a percentage of what you were making before, and it's not worth it.
And let's face it, you know, workman's comp or not, injury or not, just be safe. Take care of your body. You know, there's people that will rely on you, like your family, whether it's, you know, your parents or whether it's your children or your wife or husband, whatever it is. It's your duty to be safe out there, you know, and it's your job's duty and your employer's duty to make sure that they're training you on safety. So if your company, because we train on safety, and it's awesome because we'll go over what is it California specific, what we go over, or?
Yeah, what we have, yes. It's straight from, yeah.
Yeah, and it goes over pesticide safety and, you know, just everything like that, physical, the ladder safety. And, yeah, just being safe is the key thing, because, you know, the last thing you want to do is leave the industry because you got a bum knee because you hyperextended it in the hole, or you broke your leg and you just can't do the walking demand the job asks for anymore because you fell off a ladder or something like that. So
yeah, and you know, and some of that stuff is actually, you know, that can be devastating in the moment, and that can also be minor. You know, a big thing that I think a lot of guys take for granted, and I don't know if it's because, you know, we're used to being mechanics, or you're touching oil, or you're doing stuff on your cars and you're just using your hands, you're not actually wearing gloves, but the pesticide safety. You know, there's way too many guys out there, you know, that just are not wearing gloves. They don't put their gloves on when they're dealing with contract. They're not, you know, putting a glove on when they're triple rinsing. I have personally pulled people to the side and have talked to them, employees, because they're not wearing a glove, or they're only wearing one glove and they're not wearing the other glove, but they're taking the cap off with the hand that's not even, you know, without a glove on. But they're like, well, I still have a glove on. Well, you're still touching that same bottle with the other hand, you know. And I understand we can go wash our hands, but most guys don't after they do that. And I've seen them; they just hop right in the truck and they drive off, and they never wash their hands. They didn't do anything. And so, so what were you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that's one of my pet peeves too. Is pesticide safety. It's so important in our job. And the funny part is, I was actually looking it up today. Because I'll go ahead and say this, and I'll be completely honest with everybody. I was hitting Eve, and one little drop flew in my eye. Luckily, it didn't burn. Nothing bad happened. But I had to ask myself, I said, well, how many of those drops in my eye until I get cancer or until something serious happens? because we all know once you take your pesticide test, I hope it's for every state, is you got to learn about acute and chronic conditions that can happen from pesticides. So acute essentially is, say your mask is loose when you're fumigating, or say you spill a little bit of pesticide on your back and your back gets irritated and it burns and it's like a sunburn, or your throat gets itchy and you're coughing and you have flu-like symptoms because you breathe in the pesticide. That's what acute is. That's what stuff's really going to hit you hard. Now chronic, so here's the scary part. Chronic is constant exposure over and over again, whether it's through your skin, through your mouth, through your eyes, through breathing it. The chronic conditions no one really knows about. And if they do, those pesticides are banned because it turns out, well, we can relate these cancers or these issues because of this. Now, if you're going out there touching contract with bare hands and then you're going to go eat a burger right after, you might not have any issues now, but 5 years down the road, who knows what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. No, you know what? And actually, I have a story from a guy who was touching contract without gloves on, and he didn't wash his hands. No, this is a different one. This was actually just recent.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't wash his hands, and he said he was going to, and then he forgot. And he went and was eating afterwards, and then he felt sick the rest of the day. It hit him a couple hours later, but then he was feeling sick.
I don't want to hear the name, but was he eating like a 7-Eleven food?
Yeah, well, he wasn't eating 7-Eleven food then, but yes.
Oh my goodness! And what were his symptoms?
He just said he felt really sluggish, like he was tired, and then I think he was sick to his stomach, thirsty. So I don't know if that was really it. I just said, hey, you got to drink a lot of water. You got to be, just watch yourself over the next, couple hours. We got to make sure everything's good. He was over it. He was fine the next day. And we don't know if it was actually because of that, how he was feeling, but he did that. And he even said, I didn't wash my hands afterwards.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is the biggest thing in our industry is we don't know. I mean, I was looking up a ton of articles just today. It's funny about, cancer-related illnesses that are related to pesticides. And luckily, what I looked up is that it's not too common. Most people are being safe. And with chemicals, especially in California, with chemicals that we're using here and hopefully everywhere else, is you're more than likely not going to get cancer from your pesticides, especially if you're being safe. Now, don't quote me on that because we could all fall over and die from some pesticide we're using now in 10 years, and then I'll be an idiot, but I'll be a dead idiot. I actually heard something from I was doing some apartments, and this guy, he talked to me, and I think I was spraying for some spiders, and he's like, your sperm count's lower because of that. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, your sperm count's lower. And he just walked away. So don't forget, and the reason why I brought that up is don't forget that even if you're being super safe and not one drop of pesticides coming anywhere near your nose, eyes, skin, mouth, anything like that, people are going to relate your truck as a mobile cancer machine. So just be safe because people that don't know our industry relate pesticides and herbicides to, well, you're going to get cancer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it is just being smart because we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years. A lot of injuries from guys, and some of the older guys are going to know. If you guys played football, you wrestled, you had minor injuries then, how are those injuries now? I bet your shoulder doesn't work the same. I bet your knee isn't feeling the same. My shoulder, I got in a car wreck when I was 14, and my right shoulder isn't the same. It hurts. If I start working out harder with it. So, we all go through little things like that where, it comes and hits us. It doesn't hit us 5 years later. I didn't feel it in 5 years. I didn't feel it 2 years after the car wreck. I'm now feeling it, So we're talking 10 years later, you start to feel those things and it starts to catch up. So everybody who's out there with chemicals, you have the PPE, and if you don't have it, more than likely the company is doing something illegal. And if you're an owner and you're not providing it, you better get on that and make sure, they're protected, just like you want to make sure you're protected. And if you don't, you're just stupid, and you need to really start looking into what these products can do to you and, the side effects of them, because some of the aerosol cans require masks and some don't. And you need to know which ones do and which ones don't so that your guys are prepared to use those ones. And if you're not going to give them masks, that's fine. Just get rid of the products that require it. You don't have to have those products in there.
Yeah.
So, making sure you're wearing masks when you're fogging or you're doing any aerosol treatments, or with certain products, even the safe, quote unquote, safe products like Essentria IC3 or Ecovia, those ones even say if you're feeling dizzy or, you need to get out and get into air, well ventilated space, because that can even mess you up. And those are safe products, so we just got to be careful.
Good luck in California with all the smoke.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just being smart. It's just taking care of your body, making sure that you can, work the best you can, and you can be there for the ones that are relying on you.
Yeah. And here's a quick story about glasses and how important they really are. 2 quick stories. So glasses are just always wear them. If you're in your truck, and I know, look, if you don't want to wear them because they're giving you some weird suntan or if they're just uncomfortable, the second I wear them while I de-web, because gunk will fall in your eye. I had like spider guts fall right on my face one time. It was all sticky, and it like bounced off my glasses. Luckily, it left a little stain on my glasses. But one time I was mixing chemicals into my B&G, and it was nowhere near my eye height. It was waist height while I was mixing it, and all I did was plop some pesticide in there, and it wasn't anything quick. It was anything different than I'd done before. Just this one time, it's like, okay, we're going to bounce all the way up to your glasses. And a drop flew all the way up and hit me right in the glass. Nothing hit my face or anything like that. But I'm like, thank goodness I have glasses on. Another time is I didn't have glasses on, and I was washing the truck, and it ricocheted and a bunch of dirty water flew in my eye. I'm like, wow, I should have just wore my glasses. Why am I not wearing my glasses? So just wear them. Protect your eyes. You need them in this industry big time. Well, you need your eyes, period.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, a lot of guys have sunglasses that they use as well for safety glasses, and that's perfect, because you never take them off during the day, which is awesome, because then you almost eliminate that. Here we require hats, which once again, if you're spraying over your head and it comes down, your hat can take all that chemical and not your head. Where some places don't, they don't give you hats, or you don't have to in certain states. So hats are a huge thing too that helps actually quite a bit. Because every time that I spray overhead or anything like that, and if it comes back or I see the mist still there, I put my head down and I let it hit I let it hit my hat. Unless I can avoid it, then I avoid it as much as possible, but I'm not trying to get sprayed by it at all.
I usually cartwheel through it. Yeah.
Doing a backflip through it.
Yeah.
Well, so moving on to the next one, which I think a lot of guys don't really think about when it comes to the safety side of things, is actually driving. So I just looked up a real quick thing is in the U.S., 1 out of 103, so 1 person out of 103 is going to die in a car wreck.
Wow.
Which is surprisingly a little bit higher than opioids. So unless you're doing drugs, guys, you're probably going to die in a car wreck.
Well, not if you're being safe. But here's the crazy thing, and especially here in California, and I know it's everywhere. There's car accidents everywhere. How many times are you just driving and you see a car wreck? It might not be severe. It might be, maybe just a little bumper. But sometimes it is severe, and sometimes you see a total car. I would like to, if I'm a betting man, I'd say I'd throw in my life savings that I see an accident every day. Car pulled over, a car getting lifted off. And that's just the reality we're in. Now, why were they in that accident, and why, because I've never had an accident since, knock on wood, I've never had an accident since I was a kid and I got T-boned by a Hummer. That terrified me, and ever since then I've went from this offensive jerk driver to a defensive driver.
Oh yeah, no, that's, I mean, I don't even know how much I taught my wife how to drive, and so when I was teaching her how to drive, it was like the safest thing possible. One, because she was pregnant at the time, and two, because she was going to be driving my daughter. So it was, it's not just you in the car anymore. It's you and somebody else. So if you get in a wreck, and you happen to kill that other person because you're driving, you have to live with that. Now, in our industry, I mean, we're not driving with anybody else in that vehicle, but we weigh a lot more than everybody else. We're in a truck full of water and chemical. And if we hit another vehicle, we probably won't die. We're probably not going to actually have much happen to us because we're in bigger vehicles. But that smaller car, you might take somebody out of that car. You might walk away from it, but somebody might not. And so it might not even be that much of we're going to die in that car wreck, but you have to think of the other people. If you're driving like an idiot, you're cutting people off, you're slamming on your brakes, you're putting other people at risk. And so do that in your own vehicle. Don't do that when you're on the road 90% of the time, driving around. So
right, not at all.
You just need to be careful and, just think of others in that situation. I'm always in the driver's seat. Someone will cut me off. And it's funny because when I do have a passenger, I'll get reactions out of the passenger and I'll just be calm and I'll just be driving because I don't care. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not looking to get in a wreck. I'm not looking to get into that situation where I can, because I've been in that situation and I'm done being in that situation. So now I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Same for me. I never had major road rage, but I would get angry if someone cut me off or if someone's being an idiot driver. And I deal with an idiot driver probably twice a day, that someone is just on the road that shouldn't even be driving a vehicle. A vehicle is practically a death machine. If I'll put this in perspective. We're driving and these little lines on the floor and these lights that pop up are guiding us. But in reality, we're driving something that can obliterate a human being, whether they're in a car or not. And if you're texting or, there's so many rear ends, and I assume that they're from texting because I'm like, well, how else would you smack a car in front of you? What are you doing? Like, not paying attention to the road? It's just crazy. And the main thing too is like what you said earlier is you're not in a hurry. Like if you're trying to drive fast to make that extra 20 seconds to get to your next stop, because you're in a hurry and you got time frames, or you want to get done early or whatever it is, don't try to make up time while driving. That's the last place to do it.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, and I usually tell everybody that comes on board all the texts, you're not in a hurry. You don't need to be in a hurry. Don't rush. You don't need to speed. You don't need anything. Because I actually did this, okay? So I was selling for a company, and me, my brother, and our friend, we drove. And we were driving with our manager at the time. So we had 3 vehicles driving. Me and my brother and my friend, we were in 2 cars. We were speeding to Texas from California, okay? Speeding. I mean, we were going 20 over the limit. We were trying to get there as fast as possible. And I mean, we were flying. And this dude was in an old beat-up truck, the manager. He couldn't really go over 65. So he was going the speed limit the entire way, if not under. We hit a stop. We thought we were we were miles ahead of this dude. And we stopped. He passed us at this rest stop. And all we did, we hopped out, we filled up the cars, we grabbed a snack, we went to the bathroom, hopped back in, boom, we see him drive by. And we were speeding for hours.
Yeah. And the funny thing, too, is I know, and if you're a technician, you've dealt with this 100%. the person's behind you and you might be in a slower lane and you're going speed limit or around there. The person zooms off in front of you. Like they're like, what is this turtle doing on the road? And the next thing you know, you pass them up at the red light. There's no reason to be in a hurry.
No, I've done that so many times. I'll pull off the freeway. It happens just to be some exit. Some guy flew by me and I see the same car.
Yeah.
Sitting at the stoplight.
Oh yeah. You're not going to save much time, if any, in your vehicle. Just if you're in a hurry, work faster and obviously being safer, while you're at the house or while you're at your job or whatever. Be safe, because yes, usually we're all driving these big safe trucks that are usually truck of the year or whatever. And yes, they're heavier. So the main thing is we'll do damage outside of that truck. If you're texting or if you're looking up notes in your next job while you're going down the freeway 75 miles an hour, what do you think is going to happen if there's a sudden stop because there's an accident up ahead and you rear end a little sedan? What if there's kids in that back seat? You don't want to hurt anyone, nor do you want that on your conscience. It's just not worth it. Just be safe.
Yeah, well, and cut time. I mean, we have an episode about, working smarter, not harder. And
yeah, that's like our third episode or second episode, isn't it?
Yeah, go back. Yeah. I mean, save time where you can. Cutting corners with, not putting on the proper equipment, not protecting yourself, that's just being lazy. Because even slipping on gloves real quick, I have my gloves so accessible right there that I can grab them at any moment and it takes me 2 seconds to put them on. Even driving, I know driving isn't going to save me that much time. So I'll work, I'll make it to where when I get to a job, that job is faster, so I can save time, at a job. I can't save time when I drive. So why put me at risk? Or anybody else when I'm doing those things. And even when I'm at the job, I'm already prepared with everything that I need, that my safety isn't going to be compromised because I'm in a hurry. It's already there. Yeah. It's already ready. There's another episode that talks about it, that we do, end shift prep and beginning shift prep to make sure that you have everything on the truck that you need, so you don't run into those little accidents or possible accidents where your safety can be compromised. It's just not going to happen because you're required to do those checks. And if everything's there, then that should never be a question. Should never even come up.
No, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, the end shift and start shift prep, those, just making sure you're prepared, you're organized, you're ready to go, and you're being safe both on the route, off, just, that's just so huge because, and sure, you might go through your whole, technician career reckless, and I've never been hurt. I've done this for 10,000 years, and I've yet to sprain my ankle or fall off a ladder, and I stand on it with just my hand when I go up a ladder. I balance up there. And look, okay, all power to you, but accidents happen. And if you could go through your whole life never being in a car accident, never having a on the field accident, or you could be one of the statistics, and hopefully not, that does get in that accident, that does get injured. They happen. That's reality. Whether it happens to you or not, you have to be aware of it and just do your part to prevent it.
Yeah. So I mean, guys, just be smart. Just play by the book. There's no reason to skip around. There's no reason to step outside of that. Just be safe out there, especially in these times that we're in. I mean, especially here in California, if you're out here, if you're not dying from the virus, you're dying from the smoke. So, I mean, we're getting hit from all ends. So, I mean, it's just crazy, but be smart be smart out there, be safe out there, do your part, do your research if you don't know. Or just ask someone who's above you. I'm sure they're more than willing to help.
And if they give you the stink eye, or if they are like, what are you, a scaredy cat? Be like, no, I'm a faithful member of the DNA community. And then tell them to give us a call, and we'll put them in their place.
Oh gosh! And if you're owners, we do safety classes. We'll fly to you. for small fees. Of
Hands-on safety classes, by the way.
Hands-on. No mask required because we're 6 feet apart still.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to this episode on safety.
Yep. Thank you.